The Godzilla Card Game was released by Bandai in 2019. It uses the Chrono Clash system and includes a ton of characters from the Toho universe, with Godzilla, Mothra, Batra, even Mogera, Mechagodzilla, King Ghidorah, a whole ton of monsters. And the Chrono Clash system is really interesting and is used across a few IPs that Bandai has released under this Chrono Clash system ecosystem almost. And it was designed by Ryan Miller. The game itself, it has many ups and downs. So let's talk about the flaws and the benefits of the designs that were chosen for the Chrono Clash system, specifically in the Godzilla Card Game. In the Chrono Clash system, you have a very different resource system than a game like Magic or Pokemon. Instead of a mana system or something where damage becomes a resource, the Chrono Clash system has set up a Chrono Clash gauge, which goes from 10 on your side to 0 in between your and your opponent's sides to 10 on your opponent's side. And this is called time, that if you play a card which has a cost in the upper left-hand corner, then that is how many spaces you move the marker towards your opponent's side. Now, this is really interesting in the way that it causes a fast-paced gameplay. You can play a card, but if it swaps over to your opponent's turn, you don't have a ton of control of that outside of choosing which card you played to use that resource. And then your opponent plays cards and they don't have a ton of control over that except for choosing the card that they want to play. And so it's really cool, and it's a back and forth kind of gameplay instead of a let me do my thing, I pass my turn to you, you can do your thing, you pass your turn to me. It actually feels like you're kind of vying for control of the resources and using them the best you can in the middle of this battle. And I really like that, but there are a lot of design flaws to this game as well. Honestly, the gameplay feels fast-paced. It feels very interesting and almost interactive in a lot of the mechanics, at least in my opinion it does, but I play Vanguard, so what do I know? But I don't like a lot of the strange choices they made. First of all, the small card versus large card design, where this is a battler and this is called an EX battler. These go in your extra deck and they're summoned by sacrificing particular amounts of battlers on the field. It's really dumb that these cards are oversized. I think it's really cool for Godzilla, basically only because he's a giant monster and all of them are giant monsters, so it kind of fits the IP. But it's also kind of a pain in the butt to try to find any deck box that's going to hold this card, any sleeve that's going to hold this card, or any binder pages that are going to hold these cards. Not that you're trading a bunch with the Chrono Clash games, because they are kind of a living card game situation where if you buy a box, you get a playset of every card in the set. However, I would like to display these cards because they are really cool. I mean, this art is sick. They include most of the Godzilla forms from the movies. They have everything from 54 all the way up to Shin Godzilla. They've got Dancing Godzilla from Monster Zero. They've got the false Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and they've got 1989 Biolante Godzilla in this game, and the art is sick. But you can't display it because these large cards are a pain to try to find sleeves for. And if I buy like one of the Ultimate Guard binders, then I can't just slip it in there because they like standard sized cards instead of these gigantic sized cards. So that's one issue I have with the system. Another issue I have with the system is the idea of using icons in lieu of card text. You'll notice here, there are icons down here instead of card text. Oh, down here, instead of card text. Icons were used, I think, to try to make it so that you could memorize the icons and then play the game very easily between sets because you know what the icons say. In my opinion, this both limits card design and it also makes it more difficult to get new people to play the game. I remember trying to teach this game to a few of my friends and my brother. It's a pain to try to be like, okay, So when we play this game for the first like 10 times, we're gonna have the rule books open next to each of us so that we can each check our rules before we do anything, because we need to figure out what those icons mean and when this triggers and when that triggers and how this overrules that skill or this skill interacts with this particular other skill. And it became a big pain instead of just having card text that tells you, hey, when you attack, get this. When you are destroyed, draw a card. It's much easier to use card text in order to inform the player of the way abilities work, because if I know the zones, then I basically understand the card if I'm reading it. So I don't think icons were a good idea at all. I think they look much cheesier, honestly, on the card than text does. I think that it takes up just as much space as a text box would if they were to use even keywords. Have reminder text next to the keyword on the first set in the main decks. I think that would have been fine. I really don't think the icons do anything to benefit the game. I think it actively hurts the game because conditions are harder to put into icons. And so what you have to do is scale every single ability back. Everyone's going to have a when attacking, when placed, or when destroyed ability. And that means that I have to remember that my older sets will have this kind of when attacking ability. So I need to make my newer sets have something similar, instead of making the newer sets able to be really interesting and something different with the same mechanics of the older sets, and just have different conditions for them to pop off. Like you have to have 8 time or more in order to use this effect or something. You can't do that with icons unless you come out with a new icon that then your player base has to memorize in order to keep playing the game. And then whenever a new mechanic comes out in new sets, like it has in Chrono Clash already, then you have to memorize the new icons anyway. And the whole icon system just gets way more confusing than just having card text and having zones and having maybe some keywords or something in there. And even keywords just have reminder text on them. It's a living card game style system, a living card game style product release schedule. So if I'm playing Godzilla and I need to see what my opponent's cards do, then whenever they start doing, Legion or whatever, sneak attack, then just put the reminder text next to that. And I go, okay, cool, that makes sense. And then if those cards get played in the next set, well, cool, then there's reminder text still with the following sets because certain staple cards still get played. I just think the icon system is way clunkier than a text system, and I think that it also hinders you way too much and keeps you from being able to make really unique conditions and difficult to fulfill conditions in order to make really unique and powerful and interesting abilities. So just some other things that are really weird about the Chrono Clash system and the way that they've been handling it. Some of the design choices that have been made. Why does Godzilla get sneak attack when Naruto was a set before? Giant monsters sneaking up on you, whereas ninjas can't, doesn't make any sense to me. How in the world does a giant flying spaceship like the Garuda sneak up on a ninja, but then Naruto can't sneak up on a 400-foot lizard? I don't get it. I think the world building itself, they didn't think it through at all, and they were like, oh, this would be really interesting to throw in there. Oh, well, next set's Godzilla. Let's just slap the icon on him and let it go. I think that they should have thought about it more and been like, okay, does this fit Godzilla? Does this fit the IP we're sticking it with? And I think that's where Weiss Schwarz has gotten it right a lot of times, where they will consider what's a mechanic that works with this IP? What's something that makes this set interesting and set apart from other sets, but also is unique because of the influence of the IP that it's using, instead of trying to shoehorn in some kind of random ability or effect that will be really cool and maybe balance out another set. I think that they really messed that up with Godzilla because the world building doesn't make much sense. I believe toughness was introduced in Godzilla, and that's really cool, and that makes a lot of sense. But the sneak attack thing, there's not much sneak attack going on in Godzilla movies, and it doesn't make any sense if you start trying to make sneak attack fit into the Godzilla franchise. They are 400-foot monsters. They do not sneak. Earlier on in the franchise, I know they're smaller than 400 feet, but they get to 400 feet. Like Mothra's not sneaking around. Rodan's not sneaking around. When Rodan flies, he causes freaking hurricanes. When Mothra flaps her wings, she causes hurricanes. When Ghidorah flies, he causes hurricanes. Like, these monsters don't sneak. Why did you give them sneak attack? It doesn't make any sense to me. So to move on to some good things about the card game though, Godzilla cards have sick art. And I've already talked about that for just a second. There are a few cards that don't really deserve to be in the set, like Dorats, but I kind of forgive those because they are really cute and you kind of have like a little bit of something for the people who like those characters. I'm sorry if you do. The designs of the cards are kind of weak in and of themselves. For instance, a lot of the defending monsters are really expensive and really big and powerful for no real reason. But then the sneak attack monsters are much quicker. They get resources by dying, which is what sneak attack does. Whenever you use that ability, it kills that monster off. And they attack as soon as they're placed. So they kind of have this triple threat thing going on that doesn't really work with Godzilla. So not only does sneak attack not fit the IP, but it also kind of broke the set in the sense that if you're not playing sneak attack creatures or battlers, then you're not really playing the set the best way you can. The way that the set should be played is slow and lumbering like Godzilla fights are. They're not ninja fights. They are definitely much more lumbering, like watching a couple of, 300-foot tall monsters fight each other. And they really didn't get that feeling with this set, considering everything is slam a spaceship on the ground and attack. He dies, I draw 2 cards. Slam another spaceship on the ground, I attack, dies, I draw 2 cards. And all you can do is just have your one sentinel there, the defender ability, and hope that they don't minus him in order to kill him off. Also, I hate when card games design blocker into cards instead of into the mechanics of the game. That's a personal preference, and I understand that I am not going to be 100% in agreement with everyone about that. However, blocker as a card mechanic is significantly worse, in my opinion, than blocking as a game mechanic. If you block as a card mechanic, I have to build my deck with blockers in mind. It's the same way that Vanguard deck building is very linear. It's my main game. Vanguard deck building is very linear because you have to run 16 triggers or else you're not playing a very good optimal deck. If everything wasn't so crazy freaking fast in Godzilla, then blocker would be kind of like that, where, you have to play 12 blockers anyway, so now I only get 38 cards to choose from instead of 50. I think that putting blocker on cards instead of blocking as a game mechanic really, really weakens deck building, and it makes me have to make really arbitrary choices about which cards I want, because I have to decide whether I want to be able to survive the turn after, or if I want to try to win and have a much more volatile deck that's not as consistent and can't survive until the kill turn. I understand wanting decks to have different play styles. Some should be more deliberate and some should be much more quick and aggressive. However, I don't like removing defensive options altogether, and taking that out of the game as a game mechanic and sticking it on cards just feels like you're trying to force me into building something instead of allowing me to choose how to play my deck, and allowing me to choose how I'm going to use this really important aggressive creature if I need to make it through to the next turn. And I think that just destroys the feeling of the game, in my opinion. I didn't like it in Duel Masters. I probably won't like it in Digimon, and I don't like it here in the Godzilla card game. So overall, the Godzilla card game is really cool for Godzilla fans. The art is sick, and the game itself is fun enough. It's not anything super groundbreaking outside of the resource system being really cool, but a lot of the design choices will make it frustrating for Godzilla fans to get into. It'll be easier for already established TCG players to get into, because you will kind of understand what's going on when you see when attacking. Okay, that makes sense because I've already seen this in Vanguard and Magic and everything else. But it does make it frustrating for people who might have joined Bandai's little Chrono Clash ecosystem, and now they look at it and go, what are these icons? And I have to memorize icons in order to play the game, and I don't want to. So it's really cool for Godzilla fans for the art. It's okay for trading card game players for the gameplay, but it feels like Bandai really just wanted to release the Chrono Clash system stuff in order to test out the Digimon system that's coming out, because the Digimon system uses the Chrono Clash system, the Chrono Clash gauge. They just call it memory instead of time, and that looks really cool to me, and I'm going to try it out when it comes out because I love Digimon. So I would recommend this set for hardcore Godzilla fans. If you want the cool art and want to play a game with Godzilla in it, this is for you. It's pretty interesting gameplay, it's fun enough, and the art is just sick, and they have all kinds of tributes to all kinds of Godzilla movies. But I wouldn't recommend it if you want more sets, because I'm pretty sure that Bandai is about to kill off this ecosystem pretty soon. Like, it's Chrono Clash system's going down pretty soon, so pick up your copy now. I do hope we get Godzilla sets that offer some more balance and make it feel a little bit more deliberate and tanky, but I'm not holding my atomic breath, to be honest. Alright, thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you found it entertaining. I hope you found it informative. If you would, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All that stuff is going to be down below. It's also going to be in the description of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.